Lisa Whitman had always been the kind of woman people described as graceful without trying. She lived in a quiet suburb outside Seattle, in a house that once echoed with laughter and warmth, but lately felt like a museum of memories. Her husband Mark was a financial consultant who was rarely home these days. Too many trips, too many excuses. Their son Adam had grown up, gone to college, and only came home some weekends. Lisa was proud of him, of course, but every time he packed his bag to leave again, the silence in the house seemed to grow louder. It wasn't that Lisa was unhappy. She had routines, friends, even a part-time job at the local library. But there was something missing, something she hadn't been able to name. Life had become predictable, like watching the same scene on repeat. She made breakfast, watered her plants, answered emails, and smiled at neighbors who asked how she was doing. The truth was, she didn't know anymore. That Saturday morning began like all others, sunlight breaking through soft gray clouds, the sound of birds, the smell of coffee. Lisa was whisking pancake batter when Adam's voice called from the hallway. "Mom, I brought someone with me. Hope that's okay?" She smiled automatically. "Of course. You never need to ask." A second later, two young men entered the kitchen. Adam, tall and cheerful, and beside him a face Lisa didn't recognize. "This is Noah," Adam said. "He's in my engineering class." Lisa turned and froze for a second. Noah looked like the kind of person who carried sunlight with him. He had easy confidence, sharp blue eyes, and that open expression some people have before the world teaches them to hide it. He smiled, and it felt genuine, not practiced or polite. "Hi, Mrs. Whitman," he said, setting his backpack down. His voice had that calm, respectful tone that instantly put people at ease. Lisa chuckled. "You can just call me Lisa," she said. "Mrs. Whitman makes me feel ancient." He laughed, and the sound lingered in the room. "All right then, Lisa. Thanks for letting me crash breakfast." "Are you kidding?" "I never turn down extra company," she replied, handing him a plate. As they sat around the table, the house filled with conversation. The two boys talked about school, finals, late night studying, and plans for the summer. Lisa mostly listened, smiling when they teased each other. She hadn't realized how much she missed hearing laughter in her home until that moment. For months, the only sounds had been the hum of the refrigerator and her own thoughts. Now, the energy felt alive again. When Noah complimented her pancakes, she laughed. "Careful, I might start making these every weekend. Then I'll have to visit more often," he said easily. His smile reaching his eyes that it was an innocent comment. But for some reason, Lisa felt something stir inside her. It wasn't attraction, not in the way people might think. It was warmth. A simple reminder that someone saw her, spoke to her, noticed her presence. After years of quiet distance from her husband, that tiny recognition felt unexpectedly thrilling. Later that morning, Adam asked if he and Noah could work on his old car in the garage. Lisa agreed, and soon the sound of tools and laughter filled the air. She stood at the kitchen sink watching through the window as they leaned under the hood, their conversation animated. She told herself she was just happy her son had good friends. Still, she couldn't help but notice the easy kindness in Noah's gestures, how he treated Adam like a brother and spoke to her with genuine respect. After an hour, Adam ran out to the auto parts store, leaving Noah behind to clean up. When he walked into the kitchen, he held out a towel. "Do you have somewhere I can wash my hands?" Lisa pointed toward the sink, smiling. "Right there. And there's a towel on the counter." As he washed his hands, they started talking about small things at first. His college life, his mother who had passed away when he was younger, how he missed her cooking. Lisa felt her heart soften. He spoke with sincerity, not for sympathy, but with quiet gratitude for what he had learned from her. "That's probably why I love coming to homes like yours," he said, drying his hands. "It feels familiar." Lisa smiled gently. "You're always welcome here. Adam thinks highly of you." "He's a good guy," Noah replied. "And you've raised him well." It was such a simple statement, but it filled her with emotion. She wasn't used to being acknowledged like that anymore. Mark had become distant. His compliments had turned into short nods, his affection replaced by polite check-ins over the phone. She didn't blame him exactly. Life just changed. But hearing kindness from someone younger, from someone who saw her beyond her title as mom, felt unexpectedly powerful. She looked at Noah and saw not a college boy, but a person with depth, maturity, and warmth. And for a moment, she felt like herself again. Not the wife waiting for calls or the mother planning meals, but Lisa, a woman with thoughts, emotions, and dreams. When Adam returned, the spell of that quiet moment broke. They all had lunch together, and Noah made everyone laugh with stories about college mishaps and group projects gone wrong. Lisa found herself smiling more than she had in weeks. When they finally left that afternoon, the house seemed to exhale with silence. Lisa cleaned the table, replaying small moments in her mind: Noah's smile, his tone, the way he spoke with openness instead of pretense. She wasn't infatuated. She was reminded of something she thought she'd lost: connection, tension, being seen. That evening, as the sun set, she sat on the porch with her tea. Mark called briefly to say his flight was delayed again. She told him it was fine, trying not to let her disappointment show. After hanging up, she stared at the fading light and thought of how many evenings she had spent like this alone, quiet, waiting. The next day, Adam mentioned that Noah might drop by again. Lisa acted casual, but her heart gave a tiny, guilty flutter. It wasn't about him. Not really. It was about the feeling she had when the house was full of laughter and energy again. It reminded her of who she used to be before the routines and responsibilities dulled her spark. When Noah arrived that afternoon, he greeted her with his usual warmth. "Hey, Lisa," he said, with a smile that carried the same ease as before. They talked for a few minutes before Adam joined in. And for the rest of the day, the three of them worked together on the old car, occasionally sharing stories and light jokes. By the time they left for dinner, the house felt strangely quiet again. Lisa tried to dismiss it, but she couldn't deny the truth. She felt alive when Noah was around, not because of anything romantic, but because he made her remember that she was still capable of feeling something. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, her thoughts a mix of guilt and wonder. Why did she care so much about a simple interaction? Why did one kind gesture from a young man shake her so deeply? Maybe it wasn't him at all. Maybe it was the reflection of herself she saw through him, the version of her that still wanted to be noticed, appreciated, and understood. She realized it wasn't a thrill of temptation, but the thrill of recognition, of remembering who she was before the years blurred her identity into just being someone's wife or mother. When she finally drifted off to sleep, she didn't dream of Noah. She dreamed of laughter in her kitchen, sunlight through the window, and the sound of her own voice, light, free, alive again.